Being a photographer can be overwhelming. You're excited about this new passion, but you're not exactly sure how to use your camera yet, and everyone else's work just looks so much better. I remember feeling like that like it was just last year. It was last year. Oh yeah. Man, I am so excited about this new camera. I can't wait to use it for landscape photography and astrophotography and other miscellaneous types of outdoor photography, but I just don't know where to start with this thing. Hello there! Gah! Where did you come from? Oh, I've just been sitting here waiting for the right moment. You've been sitting there this whole time? Do you know how sketchy that sounds? Oh, just be quiet and listen to me. I'm going to tell you the 4 things to become a better photographer. Oh, cool. So should I get like a notebook or something to write that down with? Actually, no. You can just take this. I was going to read it, but I suppose I could just give it to you. Oh, thanks a lot. This is actually really helpful. You are quite welcome. And sorry about saying that you were sketchy. I didn't mean it. Oh, don't worry about it. It was a bit creepy. Yeah, it was. What was that? What? I didn't. We're good. All right, so unfortunately that didn't happen. But what did happen is I've been immersing myself in photography ever since. So what I want to share with you today is what would have been on that piece of paper if a photography wizard version of myself had actually showed up. So let's dive into what you should focus on, and more importantly, how much time you should spend in each of these areas. One of the first places to find inspiration and build confidence is actually on social media. And while it can be easy to fall in that rabbit hole and become a little Instagram goblin who feeds off the dopamine hits you get every time there's a like notification, there are some tangible benefits to posting your work on social. Even as a new photographer, what I found early on was sharing my images forced me to try and capture and edit share-worthy photos. If I'm going to put my work out there, I want to take the time to improve and produce quality work. If you're someone who's externally motivated like I am, this can be a really good way to push yourself. It's also a great way to ease into print sales. Posting my work on Instagram and Facebook was where I sold my first print, and it's actually where I continue to sell most of my prints today. If selling a print hasn't happened for you yet, it's both incredibly exciting and equally terrifying the first time someone messages you and says, "This image is beautiful, do you sell prints?" To which the answer obviously is yes. Yes, I do. And then you have to scramble to figure out how to do the whole process. For those of you who have sold prints, am I right? Isn't it super scary at first? I'd actually love to hear your stories of your first print sale in the comments below, so leave a comment. The other really cool thing about social media is it lets you connect with other photographers. I found others who live near me and we've met up and shot together. I mean, it is social media. Now, all that being said, there is a dark side to sharing your work. Yes, a dark side. At this point, I think we all know the downsides of social media. So I won't spend a lot of time on this other than to encourage you not to get too caught up in comparing yourself to more experienced photographers. We're all at different points in our journey. A journey to the magical lands of... Please stop. Sorry. We're all at different points in our journey to becoming better photographers. Here's what I recommend. Create a photo-specific account on Instagram, Facebook, Vero, Flickr, whatever works for you. Pick one or two. I use Instagram and Facebook just because they cross-share easily. Create a rough posting schedule. Once, twice, maybe 3 times a week. Just get into a routine. But don't feel like you have to post every day. That's what can quickly lead to burnout. Follow other accounts that are photographers and interact with their posts. Be an active member of the community. Just don't pressure yourself too much. Keep it enjoyable. You should spend a max of 10% of your photography time on social media. Okay, the next area you need to invest time in is learning from others. Now, this can come in the form of in-person instruction, like going to a photography workshop, or there's easier ways like doing what you're doing right now and watching YouTube videos. There's a lot of great channels out there, and that's exactly how I learned a lot of the basic techniques that I use today. You can also learn a lot from podcasts. Here's what I try to gain from videos and podcasts. First, I'm looking for inspiration. Seeing other photographers out shooting in nature makes me want to get out as well. You can learn new techniques, you can learn new editing styles, you can learn about shooting locations. And really, what I think I like best is just hearing about other photographers' journeys. Okay, so similar to social media, I suggest you try to limit your time with this. Specifically, I'd urge you not to let this replace time that could be outspent shooting. Remember that you can only retain so much new information, so pick some channels and podcasts, follow them, and try not to overload your brain. I'll add a link below in the description to some of my favorite channels and podcasts. When it comes to how much time you should spend on this, I'd say about 20% of your time spent with photography should be focused on learning. Okay, so far I've covered 2 things that you should do, but they should both have less of a focus than the next 2 things I'm going to cover. And this next one won't surprise you, but it still needs to be said. If you want to improve your photography, you need to get out and use your camera. It's the best way to learn and apply all the things you've picked up from watching videos and reading articles. And we all know this, but it's hard to make time. It usually requires some travel. If you're trying to shoot in good lighting, you're limited to certain conditions and times of day. Listen, I know most of us want to get out and shoot more, but in reality, many of us spend way more time thinking about photography than we actually do doing it. Doing it. So we need to make a conscious effort to prioritize it over other things that aren't as productive. I am definitely going to take some pictures today, right after I have a snack, and scroll through Facebook for a while, and rewatch season 2 of Stranger Things, and stare at the ceiling. Look at it this way. Using your camera does a few things. It gives you material to practice your edits with. It helps you develop a portfolio. And really, every shot is like a little lottery ticket that might be the one that gets you some notoriety. And it's a chance to screw up and make mistakes, and that's really where you learn. So here's what I recommend. Try to schedule some time regularly, ideally a couple of times a week. Put it in your personal calendar so you don't have to find the time on the fly. Also, make a list of locations you want to photograph in different conditions. For example, have a few spots that work for sunset, and that way you don't need to make a quick decision at the last minute, which can get overwhelming and cause you to just end up staying home. I actually have a blog post about the benefits of taking photos in your local area, so if you're interested in that, I'll add a link in the description below. Another option is to schedule a getaway trip to immerse yourself in taking pictures. Maybe a weekend somewhere, or even just a day trip. You can plan some time that's specifically for taking pictures. It works way better than trying to squeeze in photography time in another vacation. Also, you could sign up for a photography workshop. This is a great way to immerse yourself in learning about your camera and learning from more experienced photographers. If you haven't watched my video on photography workshops, click the link up here to check it out. When it comes to using your camera, this is where you will ultimately learn the most. I'd say you should spend about 40% of your photography time using your camera. Okay, the next thing that will elevate your skills and confidence is investing the time into the editing process. Now, I happen to use Adobe Lightroom, but there's a bunch of options out there, and it really doesn't matter which editing software you use. What's important is that you spend the time to learn how to take a raw image and turn it into something amazing. The more time you spend experimenting with your edits, the more you start to realize what your personal style is. You understand how you connect with color. You understand how light impacts your images. You discover what compositions look good to you and which ones look too cluttered or too boring. Don't be afraid to try different things. Like this? Sure. Now, I know it can feel like maybe you're cheating or being disingenuous when you make adjustments to a photo, and there's definitely a stigma to the concept of photoshopping a picture. But at the end of the day, it's all personal preference. If you like vibrant colors, then play with the saturation. If you like dark and moody tones, then keep it dark and moody. That's the magic of editing. I said that's the magic of editing. Oh, I'm sorry, I was just rewatching Stranger Things Season 2. There's apparently some Easter eggs I missed. Okay, here's what I recommend. First, find an editing software that you can start learning from. Spend some time digging into a few options at a time just to ease into it. Mess around with the global edits like exposure, contrast, highlights, but also try to learn how to use local masks to edit select portions of your photos. You should be spending close to 30% of your photography time on your edits. Now, if you want to learn more about improving your edits, you can watch this video right here where I walk through 3 different tools that will elevate your landscape photos. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, consider subscribing and liking the video so you can see more like this in the future.